Tim Richter is the president and CEO of the Canadian Alliance to End Homelessness. Prior to joining that organization, he was charged with leading the implementation of Calgary's 10-year plan to end homelessness, the first plan of its kind in Canada. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, a lot of people across Canada who work daily in tackling the homelessness issue have kind of been applauding the federal government with their last budget. $11.2 billion has been designated to help with affordable housing and deal with the homelessness issue, especially in northern communities. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, homelessness, modern mass homelessness in Canada was really created about 25 years ago when the federal government began withdrawing from affordable housing investment, began cutting transfers to provinces that cut welfare. And so for the first time in 25 years, the federal government isn't getting back into affordable housing investment in a meaningful way. They've promised about $11 billion over 10 or 11 years, which is, I think, the largest investment in homelessness or in housing and homelessness in over 25 years. So I think it's a really good start.
How important is affordable housing in changing the trajectory of a person's life who is, in that category of being hidden homeless or actually homeless on the streets?
Well, one of the arguments we've been making with the federal government that they need to prioritize people for whom the lack of housing can be a matter of life and death. So, at its most basic, the lack of a home can be lethal for a lot of people. But a home is your foundation, right? It's from which you can gain or maintain your health. You can gain or maintain employment. You can build those supportive relationships that you need to maintain your home. So it is like the cornerstone of of a successful life and kind of the critically important starting point. So we know housing stability, and we know from research, we know from experience that housing stability, a good home is key to health, key to economic well-being, and ultimately key to success in life.
Now, Stats Can reports that 8% of Canadians aged 15 and over reported living in a situation of hidden poverty. These are people that, might be living on somebody's couch, might not even be able to buy a house or rent. We've seen a change with Calgary. We've seen homelessness down by 11.4%. What was Calgary doing that's, right on point that we need to, across the country, echo and repeat?
Well, Calgary's not alone. What's interesting is here in Alberta, we've seen a lot of success in preventing and reducing homelessness. You mentioned Calgary had the fastest growing rate of homelessness between 1992 and 2008 in the entire country, and has now sort of begun to bend that trajectory down and achieved an 11% reduction since 2008. But you look at Edmonton to our north, and being a Calgarian, I always hate to give Edmonton credit for anything, but they've reduced homelessness 46% in 5 or 6 years. Lethbridge, just to the east of us or southeast of us, has reduced homelessness over 65%, and Medicine Hat is very close to being the first city anywhere in Canada to eliminate homelessness. So what they're all doing, they're focusing on housing and support and focusing on ending homelessness versus managing the problem. When we as Canadians and faith communities realized that people were beginning to experience homelessness, we responded with emergency services. We responded with shelters and soup kitchens and other supports. But the critical shift we need to make, and what the cities getting success are doing, is shifting from managing homelessness to ending it, to moving people directly from the streets into housing. And those folks, one of the things that's interesting about homelessness, and you mentioned hidden homelessness, well, for the vast majority of Canadians, 85%, that experience homelessness, of the 235,000 different Canadians who experience homelessness in a year, 85% of them, it'll be really brief. It could be a day, a week, a month, and they cycle in and out of homelessness, that ongoing housing instability. So that's, again, where the federal government investment in housing and housing supports will be really important.
That's great insight. Thank you again, Tim. Our time is up, but thank you for that insight
Thank
and
you.
just giving a snapshot of what our country looks like when it comes to homelessness.
You bet.